This recording is made May 20th, 2004 with Henry O. Faulkenberg. The last name is spelled Faulkenberg. Henry resides at 11802 Orville Road in St. Croix, Indiana. He is a native of St. Croix in Perry County, served in the United States Army in the 39th Signal Corps. His highest rank attained was that of corporal from 1943 to 1946. Entered the Army at the age of 18. This recording is made with Larry Ordner, Regional Director for U.S. Senator Dick Lugar. Henry, thanks for being part of the Veterans History Project.
Well, thank you for
Appreciate you doing this. Appreciate you doing this. Now, 18 years old, you grew up in St. Croix in Perry County in a very rural area, didn't you?
That's correct.
Now, what were you doing at age 18? Were you?
I worked at the shipyard at Tell City.
Really?
Yes.
We
was building wooden barges for the Army then.
Now, that was a tender age to start work.
I was working there at 18 years old.
Had you gone to school?
Well, I graduated from high school. I graduated from high school.
At what school, Henry?
All Township High School.
Mm-hmm. And so immediately after high school, you went to work?
Yes, I worked on a farm with my dad,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got a job at the shipyard, and I worked down there until I went into the Army.
Well, tell me about the kinds of duties you had down at the shipyard and what the shipyard was doing, because
They was building. It was barges. I don't know what they used them for. The Army used them, and we had an order for. I think we built 18 of them, and I helped saw the timbers with the sawmill that they put them together with. They was wooden barges, and they saw a diagonal on them and put them together and pin them together and build them.
My goodness.
And they'd caulk them, the cracks to keep them from leaking. And I went in the Army. When I come back, then they was building steel barges.
It's amazing, though, isn't it, that so many communities up and down the river were involved in the war effort, weren't they? Do you remember, incidentally, where you were when you were a young man when Pearl Harbor happened, weren't you?
I was at Rick Phillips skating rink, and I was 16 years old then. And they come over the radio that they bombed Pearl Harbor. And I thought then, well, I'm 16, I'll never be in this war, but wasn't long. I was 18, I was in.
My goodness. Now, you had other brothers. Did you have sisters as well?
I had, there's 7 of us children, and there's 5 of us in the service. One was in the Navy, my oldest brother.
What was his name?
Martin.
Okay.
And Elmer was the next one. He was in the Air Force. And then I was the next one. I was in the Army. And my youngest brothers, Leif and Leonard, they was in the Korean War.
My goodness. Now, what was it like, you think, for parents to suddenly have their sons going off in war?
They said that my dad would go to the mailbox every day to see if I wrote a letter home when I was overseas, and said he lived 3 miles from the mailbox, and he'd come up here to the mailbox every day. Right? And he's worried and everything turned out all right.
Mm-hmm.
And he was happy then. But my oldest brother, he's dead now, and my next brother, he's dead, and I'm the next one, and the rest of us are living. My oldest sister is dead too. I had 2 sisters.
Were you enlisted, or were you drafted?
I drafted.
You drafted. Where did you go to for processing?
Well, see, we went to Tell City and signed up, and that's where I was called from. The draft board sent me out a letter that I had to report down there, and then they sent me we went to Fort Harrison, and we stayed there till they figured out where we was all going. Then I went to Camp Swift, Texas.
Now, you went by train, I guess?
We went. Did
you have any idea where you were going?
They told us where we was going, and we went by train to Texas too, and it was cold operated, the engine, and the smoke came in the windows, and we was all black when we got there. It was really something. Yeah. And we was in Camp Swift, Texas for almost a year before we went overseas. I think 11 months or something like that.
So you had your basic there.
Had a basic training.
Tell me about basic training. What was that experience like for you?
Well, they really worked us over.
Was it very intense? Was it cut short due to the war?
Well, it might have been a little bit, but they put us through a lot. We'd march for 10 miles and then make us run maybe a mile or two, And then we'd sleep out in the woods at night, and the mosquitoes were so bad, and we went to Louisiana for that, you know, and mosquitoes were so bad, I swear they could believe it was big enough to pick a tent up and sleep in there. And we done about everything. We went through a course where there was a firing over us, you know, you had to go through it, and you couldn't stand up or you get shot, and we had to crawl through it, you know. Infiltration course, I believe they called it. And the funny thing about it, there was a big ditch in the middle of that place we had to go through, and we got through, and there was one man missing. And we thought, well, he surely got shot. When back he was in that ditch, we were down shooting dice. And that was when we was taking our training, you know. And I don't know what he got out of it. It wasn't good. He wasn't supposed to do that, you know.
I'm sure. When you think back to basic training, is there one incident or a person maybe that just kind of pops in your mind when you think of basic training?
Well, yeah, there's one man. He was bald-headed, and we thought he was old. He probably wasn't over 35, 40, but we thought he was a real old man. And we was in our tent, and somebody was out in the woods in the tent, you know. And the officers, they'd been in town. They come in about 2 o'clock, and somebody threw beer cans down there. They'd had some beer, and they weren't supposed to. And they made us all crawl out of them tents and clean up everything, whether we was in on it or not. And this one guy was old, bald-headed. I thought he was old. They hollered, "Attention!" He had them nets keep the mosquitoes from biting. He said, "Bye." I better not say this. He said, "Bye, gee, I'm in a hut," he said. I never will forget that. He got tangled up in that net and couldn't get out. "I'm in a hut," he said. And I never will forget him telling that.
After basic, did you have additional training then?
No, we went to Fort Harrison. We didn't have any training there. They just tried to keep us busy doing stuff. They even never had anything for us to do. They even had us cutting grass with a knife.
Cutting grass with a knife?
We just sat down out there and cut. They just wanted something for us to do, you know. Yeah, we was cutting grass with a knife.
Nice clean cuts, I guess,
Yeah.
right?
And we was...
Was that kind of just a holding station for you for a while?
It was just a whole set of figured out where they was going to send everybody. And
How long were you at Harrison before you really got an assignment?
right off, I can't remember, but it seems like it was around a month or something like that. Near a month.
And after that period, then what happened?
Well, we went to Boston. Well, then we went to Camp Swift then, from Harrison, you know.
Okay.
And from Camp Swift, we went to Boston, you know, and we went on a ship there to England.
So when did you finally, how did you respond when you finally got your orders that you were going to be going to England?
Well, I was looking.
It wasn't a surprise.
No, I was looking for it. And in fact, I got tired of that cutting grass with a knife. So we got it in England.
Well, tell me first of all, what kind of ship did you go over on?
Well, I don't know it was.
What type of ship was it? Was it
It was more of a passenger. I can't name.
It was like one of the old luxury liners.
Yeah, it was a liner. What it was, yeah.
And I take it maybe hundreds, thousands of men on this ship, probably.
No, it wasn't that big. I think it was about 1,200 all.
Really? Were you part of the convoy?
Well, yeah, there was other ships went with us too, and we had certain routes to go, you know. And we hit a storm one night, and our ship, it was so bad, our ship would come within about 2 or 3 degrees of capsizing, you know.
Is that right?
And we was down below in a room, 3 or 4 times big as this, some of my outfit, and we had our duffel bags, you know, on the walls, and they'd fly off and hit the other's wall, they would fly up and hit our wall, and we was so scared. We was all scared. And one guy, he was crying and everything else. And he knowed I worked at the shipyard. And he said, "How thick is the bottom on these ships?" And I didn't know exactly, but I know they wasn't very thick. And I said, probably half, 3/4. I know they wasn't 3/4 to make him feel good. And he said, "Lord have mercy," he said. He thought they were 2 or 3 inches of steel. And I never will forget that either.
But you weathered the storm and you did make it to England.
Yeah, we made it.
Did you have to zigzag your course?
They had a course we had to follow for those kind of submarines. I don't know what it was. The captain knows all that. You know, we had a course to follow.
But there were no incidents going over other than the storm.
That's pretty fine. We had ships guarding us too,
Mhm.
all the way.
So you landed in England,
Uh-huh.
and then were you taken just like to a holding base?
Yeah, it was, well, it was just a place there that kept us. We were supposed to go right over and we were supposed to cross the English Channel, and it was so bad, the weather was so bad. We had to stay there close to a week or something like that. It was so bad. When we got in it, when it quieted down a little, we got in the ship. It was, I can't name the ship what it was, but anyway, it was so rough. They were just throwing water in one side and out, but we landed okay on the other side in France, in Utah Beach.
On Utah Beach.
Utah Beach.
Well, you were really in. Were you almost doing the work of infantry at that time? You
Yeah,
were
we
in the signal
yeah we
corps.
wasn't done no signal work then. You
Yes.
know.
Yes.
So we got over in France and started. You know, we landed in France there, and we went up with all the rest of the troops, and but that's when we went to work putting lines and everything.
Tell me about that.
Well,
How would you describe those duties?
well, they'd give us orders where they wanted these strung, and we would.
These were going to be communication
Yeah,
lines, right?
all communication, and we'd have cable on a Jeep, you know, and we'd roll it out. Somebody would hold us in, we'd start rolling it out, and to where we was going, we'd hook it all up. Sometimes we'd have to go up in trees, cross roads, and then we'd just lay it on the ground just to get communication through.
In some cases, did you actually precede infantry?
We brought lines up to the infantry.
Up to them,
Yeah.
okay. But you never actually went beyond
No,
where the
uh-uh.
infantry was.
We put lines up there when we crossed the River to the infantry, and they crossed that night. We seen them cross. We was back, but we could see them cross the river. They wasn't too much of a battle too. That the Air Force down had them whipped.
So the Air Force was in there doing
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of heavy work
Oh
at that
yeah,
time.
the Air Force was our savior.
What was the terrain like, Henry?
Well, you mean in France or?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Well, it's a lot like here. There's woods and hills and holler and everything, just a lot like it is around here.
What kind of season was it at that time when you were there? Was it hot or cold?
Well, when we landed, it was in fall, you know, and it was hot then.
Uh-huh.
So we went through cold winters when it was in the Battle of the Bulge. It was cold then. That was in the wintertime.
Well, now, the nature of being around infantry was that they keep moving, don't they?
Oh yes,
Very, very much so.
they never did have to retreat. Only the Battle of the Bulge. They continuously
Well,
moved.
how can you kind of walk me through your journey through Europe to a degree? I know that's a tough one to say, but if you can kind of point me in the right direction, then what your course was like.
Well, we would just go from one town to the other, and as it advanced, we'd follow them. We had orders to go where they needed us worse, you know, where they needed communications worse, and that's where we would go. And we'd go to different places. I had some names of places there.
Go ahead and tell me some of them.
Well, that Rheims, and was in Maastricht, and was in Aachen, and the Ruhr River, and the Rhine River, and the Elbe River, and that was just some of the places, big places we was at. And we was in Maastricht. That was in Holland there. We was in Holland for not too long till the Germans had us encircled, you know, in the Battle of the Bulge. They had us encircled there, and there was guys crying and everything else because we had word there was no way of getting out. There's all around us. And General Patton, when he said, "Let's go get them SBs," you know, and he even got on a tank himself, and they always said he had the guts and somebody else had the blood, but he had both, I can tell you that. And he went through and they broke through that German line, and that was about the end of the Germans then.
Did you personally ever see Patton?
No, well, I did see him at a distance. I never just talked to him or nothing like that.
What do you remember about him?
Well, I just remember he was a tough guy. I mean, he could talk tough and he meant what he said.
What was it like out there trying to keep your morale up?
Well, you just had to keep thinking, well, this is going to be over and we're going to go home. And then we thought we wasn't going home then after we broke the line. They had children fighting even. They had children 12, 13, 14 years old killed fighting. Germans did. And they was about out of man then. So we knowed we had them about whipped then.
Mm.
And
did you encounter just average townspeople?
oh yeah,
And through much of Germany?
Yeah, a lot of them would talk to us. A lot of them could talk English, and some of our men could talk German, and we talked to them. And some of them hated us and some of them didn't. Most of them did, though. A lady, she said, we come through that town, she said, I hate you people. And we asked her why. Said, you bombed and killed my mother and dad. Well, that was part of it, you know. So you ran into some of them, it wasn't too bad. They'd help you out even. In France, they all would help you out there. It was in Germany where they wouldn't.
In Germany now, of course, this area of southern Indiana was heavily settled by Germans.
In Du Bois County it is.
Certainly throughout this area, really.
Well, yes.
But what was it like, I think, I'm just kind of curious about this, what was it like going to Germany? Because as much as everyone in this part of Indiana detested what was happening by the Nazis and by Hitler, what they were doing to Germany, it had to be somewhat painful too, I think.
Well,
was it not?
Everybody, they wanted to finish the war, and
Certainly.
nobody hated to go. I mean, we all wanted to go and defend our country now, and I didn't see anybody that didn't.
I talked to one vet who actually ended up, meeting a German villager by the same surname, and I'm sure that had to just be kind of a painful situation.
Well, yes, he hated to, he hated to see them bombed and everything, but they had to do it.
Certainly.
But we was in France one time, and it was a church that had a steeple shot off of it. And I said to this guy, I said, you see that steeple shot off? I said, they wasn't supposed to do that. He said, you know who done that? He said, I done it. He was he was in a tank, and he said they had a sniper up there in that church. And he said, I shot the steeple off of it. They were shooting snipers in that steeple shooting at the Americans. He just shot the steeple off of it.
Oh, goodness. With the tank?
With a gun on the tank, you know. Yeah.
My goodness.
So, well, you couldn't expect him to do anything else, could you?
Did you actually personally encounter, were you in combat situations yourself?
Well, we didn't do actual combat. We put lines and then communication to them, and they done the combat work. We was right behind them, you know.
But you certainly observed what was going on out there.
Well, yeah. One time, I was on guard there in Holland. That's right before the Battle of the Bulge, and it was 12 o'clock, and the guy come and relieved me, and I hadn't got back to where I was going to sleep, you know. 5 minutes, and there's a big commotion out there, and I went out there, and that guy that relieved me got hit by an 88 millimeter German gun, you know, and shot his leg off. And see, a shrapnel, what happened? A piece of shrapnel cut his leg off. It was about 88. They had Germans used a lot of that, and he wrote me a letter. His son wrote me a letter. It was about a year ago, and said maybe 2 years ago. And he said he died, and he said he was proud. He said he come home, he got a wooden leg, and he said he went to college and was a teacher and everything. That was really nice out of it. And another time, we was going up to the front lines, and I got sick. Not on purpose, but I did. And the sergeant let me stay behind and guard the ammunition and stuff, and you know, and the truck was in, and the 88 went through that truck, and I was lucky on that deal. I wasn't in it, and so I guess that's what was supposed to happen. I guarding that ammunition and the guns and stuff was left behind there.
Do you think did everybody realize just what a situation the Battle of the Bulge was going to be like?
No, they didn't.
You really didn't see that?
No, we didn't see that
right.
at all. Not till it happened. We didn't know we was in circle when we was even until they finally told us.
What was the fighting like in that area? What was it like for you, even trying to do your job?
They put us out with machine guns. I was on with the guy on a truck. That's all ammunition we had was a machine gun, 50 caliber machine gun on a truck. Everything we had, they put somebody on it. You know, guarded this road and that road and every road there was, and it didn't. After a while, it wasn't very good, but it wasn't long until we got good news, and you know, we broke through, and it was about the end of it. At first, though, it was People, some of them crying because they're afraid they wouldn't see their wife or family and everything. They made us throw everything away but the ID card. That's all they let us keep.
Who did?
Army did. If you had a picture, your wife, your kid, you had to throw it away. You
Really?
couldn't keep nothing. So they're afraid we'd get captured, and get information of it. And they was pretty sure we was going to get captured then, and they made us throw everything, burn it. We had to burn it. And people cried, and they had to throw their wife picture, their brother, their sister, their mother, their father.
Did you have to do that too?
Yeah, I thought everything.
What do you recall that? What do you recall that you had with you?
I had some pictures, and I don't know. I had letters from home. I threw all them away home. All my letters too. Anything I had that they could get any information off of, you had to throw it away. You had to burn it. Well, they was trying to help us, Everything worked out all right.
I'm sure that had to be very painful, though.
Oh yeah, you hated to do it, but you had orders to do it, and we know they know what they was doing, and they wouldn't have told us to do it. That's where you can get a good conduct.
Good point. Good point. You indicated it was really Patton that really broke the
To
stalemate.
my notion, he was, yes. He was the main man. We was sent up to Patton's unit. We got orders we was going to Patton's unit. But then they never had us in circles, We went up there. That's after we went up there when they had us in circles. It was, I don't know how many men they lost, but a lot of them. Germans lost more than we did, though. But you wouldn't believe that there was children fighting for Hitler, but there was. That was bad.
Do you think that indicated desperation?
Yeah, he was, that was his last straw.
Hmm.
It was do or die for him, and he died.
What was the turning point at that?
Well, that was the turning point when we won the Battle of the Bulge. That was the turning point. It was about over then. So that was I believe it was in the fall. It was cold. I think it was December along in there somewhere. But I know the snow and all. It was cold. And see, we come home in January.
What was it like being there in that cold and mud? It had to be miserable.
It was bad. I know some nights we'd sleep on the ground on a blanket and then on top of us, and it would freeze to the ground. You couldn't ever get it loose.
And did you just have your rations to eat?
Oh yeah, we had carry rations. You carried rations for 2 or 3 days
Why
a
don't you
week.
explain to the future listener what a K ration typically consisted of?
Well, it was bars of stuff like candy, but there was bars of stuff with their vitamins in and everything, and anything. Sometimes they'd have cornflakes, a little box of cornflakes in it or something like that. But there's always a candy bar in it. And that was your main supplement there, that candy bar. But they call it the K ration. It was just a little box about that long, about 4 inches wide, and 8 inches high, and everybody had them. You had to carry that. Because if we got out and they couldn't get to you or something, you was in trouble if you didn't have your K ration. Well, sometimes you'd go for weeks without even washing hard. A lot of times I know we heated water in your hot steel helmet, and wash it, build a fire and heat water and steam.
It's amazing to me even how, in those conditions, that the Army could even get any supplies out to you.
I know what they did. I don't know. They sure did a wonderful job of it. They got supplies and ammunition and everything.
That's just amazing.
I know. Somebody had to figure out how to do that. And you get short of supplies sometimes, but they always come through.
Later, you really saw the tremendous aftermath of what Hitler had done.
Oh yeah. You won't believe it, but we bombed. I didn't, but the Air Force did. Bombed cities, and they were almost completely demolished. I mean, every house.
These are things that you had personally witnessed?
Yeah. And they were just, there were few of them standing, but they just looked like it was demolished, the city was. And the Americans done that, And England helped us. We was both in on that. England was a good ally at bombing over there. I think we should keep England on our side, too.
You mentioned that, I think in your notes, that you had witnessed a train or boxcars after the war, right? This was the latter part of the war of many bodies, German bodies.
It was in trucks.
Yeah, tell me about
Bodies.
that. Where was this at?
Well, that was I was in Holland then, and it was hauling the dead out there to bury them, the Germans, and they had truck after truck heaped up with dead people and dead soldiers in it going to bury them. And I was told there was 10,000 in them trucks that day. 10,000 Germans. Where they took them, I don't know, but they was taking them to bury them, they said. There's a lot of bad things happened in the war.
When the war finally did wrap up in Europe, do you recall where you were? I mean, there wasn't really a magic, well, there was VE Day, of course, but you really had a sense that the war was starting to wind down, didn't you?
Yeah, well, after that they moved us back to France. I don't remember what time it was, and before we caught the ship back home. I have the name of that ship to come home. If you want it, I can.
Please, yeah.
Rushville Victory. Rushville Victory was the name of the ship to come home on. And it wasn't too big a ship. But they sent you on any kind they could. They had so many people over to bring home, but they couldn't give them any kind of ship they wanted, you know.
Did you really have a good sense of what was even happening on the larger scale, even in the Pacific? Did you have news of any?
Yeah, we were supposed to go to the Pacific.
I mean, when you were in Europe, did you have a sense of the larger scale of the war?
Not near as much as it was happening. We didn't hear too much of it, but we did know some. They give us news, and we'd hear over radios things that happened too.
Was most of the information you got on the progress of the war, did it come by radio?
Yeah.
Was this like BBC broadcasts?
Yeah, they have radios, and maybe they'd hear it back in the headquarters, and they'd tell us what happened. You know, we didn't have no radio ourselves.
Well, certainly the war in the Pacific was, after Europe, the war in the Pacific was really just going full throttle, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was bad over there.
Yeah.
That's when they dropped the atomic bomb.
Now tell me, were you dispatched to the Pacific?
They was getting us ready to go.
Where were you at that time?
I was in France.
You were still in France,
Mm-hmm.
okay. But you were anticipating that you were going to be going to the
Yes,
Pacific.
they told us we was going to go.
Okay. Did you actually ever leave en route to the Pacific?
No, but they dropped the bomb before we left.
Mm. Did anybody really comprehend just the sheer magnitude of what had happened, do you think?
I don't know whether they did or not. They knowed something big had happened, you know, but they didn't. I don't think they realized really what did happen there. They killed everybody on the island, you know, and then they said, well, it wasn't long. They surrendered, you know, and we come back to the United States. I was glad that happened. We might have been over there 5 or 10 years if they hadn't done that.
Can you imagine what it would have been? Well, I hate to ask what it would have been like. A Japanese invasion would have been just a bloodbath, wouldn't it?
Oh, they tell me that they was bad. I mean, they said they would get underwater and breathe through a straw even. You probably read about that. And they'd do anything to kill you. And the Japs would. So
Looking back, how do you feel about Truman's decision to do that?
I think it's a good decision. Because I might not be here if it hadn't done it. Yeah, I'm glad they did it. Maybe it's bad, I don't know. But it would have been bad if they hadn't done it too.
Henry, when you were over, what was the worst thing you had to do? What was your worst day over there? Is there something that sticks out in your mind?
No, not really. It's all about the same to me. I don't know, really. There's a lot the same all through for me.
Tell me what it's like, the unique friendships that develop in the military and how you rely on each other. Did you have some friends that you were just so bonded to while you were in?
Oh, I had some friends, yes. I had some good friends. We were together, and one of them, we'd help each other. Anything we needed, they'd help each other. And some of them wasn't that way, but most of them was. Most of them were good friends to you.
Mm-hmm.
they would help each other.
Did you have some very dangerous situations where you really helped each other out and perhaps even saved your life?
I don't know. I don't know about. I can't answer that. I don't know.
Okay.
But I mean, like you'd had dig foxholes, they call them, or something, and they'd help one would help the other, and it was good about helping each other.
Well, the war ended in the Pacific in, I believe it was August 45, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So really just a few months later, you got to come home, didn't you?
Yeah, I come home in January. in January.
You came from France back, correct?
Yeah, I come back in January, and
Where did you land in the U.S.?
I landed in New York when I come back.
What was it like? A lot of people have told me how emotional it was seeing the Statue of Liberty on the way back.
Oh yeah, they
Tell me
hollered,
about that.
screamed, and go on, and you was greeted by a lot of people too.
What was that greeting like?
Oh, there's people waiting there to see us land, get out, and they'd holler and wave, shake hands, and some of them kiss and everything else. I was glad to see us come back. And when we went over, we went from Boston, and but we come back, we landed in New York. And we went to Camp Atterbury is where we released us at.
So did you take a train from New York again?
Yes, to Camp Atterbury.
And coming back to Atterbury was almost as good as being home in a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of ways, wasn't it?
yeah. Oh sure.
Did your family know that you were that close?
Well, I wrote and told them we was coming home, but I didn't know the exact date. You
Uh-huh.
know.
How'd you get from Atterbury down here? Recall?
I'm trying to. I think how we got here. I can't remember just exactly how we did get down here, but I know when I was at Fort Harrison, I got to come home. That was before we went, and we hitchhiked down here.
It's a long way.
Yeah,
So.
but I can't remember if they brought us home or how we got from Camp Atterbury.
When you got back even to New York, did you have any knowledge of your brothers at that time?
You mean where they was at?
Or they, even if they made it, did you have any?
Oh yeah, I got letters from home. They tell me that.
You okay? I understand.
Yeah, they tell me. Oh, they write me letters about every day, but I didn't get it. Sometimes it'd be 6 weeks before you get them. You
Were any of your brothers already out of the military by this time,
know.
or were you the first
No,
one out?
I think I was the first one out. See, Martin was in the Navy, and they was busy. The Navy was on getting them home and everything, you know.
Yeah.
And
Well, how did Perry County look to you when you got back?
looked good. I remember, if I remember right, now it was on Sunday morning, and I got home, and I went up to church, and all my friends was
At
there.
the Catholic church?
St. Croix, yeah.
Okay.
And they was all real good, and they tell me shaking hands, glad you're back,
Was
and
that
everything.
you were there for morning mass?
Yeah, I got
Really?
that.
Well, that had to be just one of the happiest days of your life.
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
it?
I know my dad and mother was tickled to see me. I remember when I went, my mother cried, you know, because I'd never been away from home overnight, only to my grandmother's. And I was 18 years old. Back then, you didn't go like you do now. When you was 18 years old. You just had work to do on the farm. And maybe on Saturday evening, you'd walk from 3 miles to St. Croix, and if anybody had a car to go somewhere, you might get away with them.
What was it like for you trying to be a civilian again?
Well,
Did you have any difficulty being a civilian?
well, no, I was glad to be one. I didn't do much work for a little while. I didn't go back to work for a while after that, and I just loafed and went and seen people and visited and everything for a while.
Did you use your GI benefits, your GI Bill?
Yeah, no, I didn't. All I done was, you got to sign up for $20 a week. That's what they paid you for 20 weeks, was it? I forget what it was. It was $20 a week though. Now they give you what, 300?
Not sure exactly.
Some of them make that 300. I believe you got to sign up for a year. I'm not sure.
How do you look back upon what the U.S. accomplished in World War II
Well,
and what you were part of.
they stopped Hitler.
What do you think would have been the outcome had Hitler not?
Well, he
stopped?
tried to take the world. He tried to whip the world. I don't know how he'd had China. He had China, Japan with him, you know, and Italy and some other country. But if he'd have took the world, he'd have got rid of them. He'd have been the ruler of all. That's my notion. But he didn't give up easy. Because when you start taking your kids fighting, you're getting desperate.
What was patriotism like in those days?
You mean
And like when you were still here in 1941,
yeah?
what was the mood like?
Oh, it was 100% get rid of him. You know, it's not like it is now. They're all divided up now, but then everybody stuck together. As I remember, people I talked to did. I think it's a good thing. You can't win a war if you don't stick together.
Having gone through World War II, Henry, what is it you would tell perhaps a future generation, even maybe a future generation of your own family, about duty to country?
Well, I just tell them if they have to go, they should go. To the Army or Navy or whatever branch they want to go in, you should defend your own country. That's the way I look at it anyway.
Do you have any final comments?
I just thank you that you're here and brought me my medals down from
I appreciate you taking the time to do
you
this.
to contact.
Appreciate you taking the time to do this as well.
I really appreciate what you've done,
You're very welcome.
and I think you've done a good job.
Thanks. Thank you, Henry.
Thank you.